بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله. حديث number 93 عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال بادروا بالأعمال سبعة. This hadith, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, hasten to do good deeds before seven things happen. Before seven things happen. هل تنتظرون إلا فقرا منسيا أو غنى مطغيا. He said, the first of them, are you waiting for overwhelming poverty or corrupting wealth? هل تنتظرون, meaning what's preventing you from your worship? Why are you delaying in your good deeds? As a believer, you should be hasty. You should be eager to fulfill your righteous deeds. Take your opportunities. The Prophet ﷺ says, are you waiting for overwhelming poverty or corrupting wealth? So the first two issues is in regards to our wealth. So the Prophet ﷺ here identifies faqr and ghina as an issue, a potential issue. Which means some people, when they go through poverty, when they go through difficulty in terms of their wealth, what happens? This becomes an issue for them. This keeps them away from ibadah. This creates problems in their life, stress. And what happens? All of the effort is into finding something, finding a way to earn. And they forget about ibadah. They forget about coming to the mosque. They forget about salah. They forget about amr bil ma'roof or nahi anil munkar, or they forget about sadaqah. Because their main concern is, how do I find a way to earn money, to increase my wealth? Faqr becomes a fitna for him. The second issue the Prophet ﷺ highlights here is ghina. That for some people, wealth is a problem. When they get too much, they become complacent. They become people who are engrossed in their wealth, living lavishly, living comfortably. They become ghafilin, negligent, heedless. They forget about, the plans of Allah Azza wa Jal, or the makr of Allah, the plot of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they just become complacent because of their wealth. And this is what happens to many people. And on this, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that if a person's hal, if his condition is such that he's in the middle, he continues to worship Allah, his overall condition is good in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal, whether he is wealthy or poor, whether he is being benefited by through Allah's mercy and Allah's rizq, or he is suffering, but it does not affect his worship. The person is not affected by worship, affected by wealth. He said, فَهَذِهِ هِيَ سَعَادَةُ الدُّنْيَا. He said, this is the happiness of this world. This person has found the happiness of this dunya, because he's continuing upon his deen no matter what, whether it's a period of his life where Allah is blessing him with lots of wealth, or whether it's a period of his life where Allah is testing him and keeping it away, making it difficult for him. But what has happened? He maintains his balance in terms of his deen. The Shaykh says, هَذِهِ هِيَ سَعَادَةُ الدُّنْيَا. This person will find the happiness of this world. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, whoever does righteous deeds, whether male or female, and he's a sincere believer in Allah, فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً. This is the person we promise to give him a happy, joyous, pure life. Not the wealthy, not the poor, those who worship Allah Azza wa Jal and are believers in Him. Mustaqiman, they are people of istiqamah. These are the people, they will find happiness in this dunya. They will find contentment in this world. The hadith then carries on and mentions أو مرضا مفسدا أو هرما مفندا. Is it that you are waiting for a disease that will debilitate you? Some people, when they get sick, they end up with a disease that debilitates them. They're unable to worship any longer. Because of the sickness, they become depressed. They're not sociable. They cannot live correctly or properly. Is this what you're waiting for? أو هرما مفنا, or old age that causes you to become senile. You lose your aql, you lose your mind, not in the sense you become insane, but you become like a child again. Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about this in the Quran, that you will be returned to أرذل العمر, that age where you become worse than a child. In fact, the Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, he said, when an old person reaches this stage, they become worse than a child, a bigger burden than a child is. You know, when you're dealing with a child, and the child is being difficult, and the child is crabby, and he's crying, you have patience, you know it's a child. When you're dealing with a very old person, and that person gets to this phase of their life, they become so difficult to deal with, it's harder than dealing with a child. Stubborn. They used to know things, so they think they know things. It's not like you're dealing with a baby like a child. It's very different. And it's even harder than dealing with a child. And there's a dua, by the way, that we should all recite in the morning and the evening. It's one of the adhkar of sabah and masa that the Prophet ﷺ taught this ummah. And that is that you do not reach an age like this. That you do not become old like this. It's in the adhkar of sabah and masa, which is on the wall here somewhere. If you not research it, and you will find it, it's part of this dua. The Prophet used to say this dua every day. That when he gets old, you do not reach an old age like this. أو موتا مجهزا, or are you waiting for sudden death? Is this what you're waiting for? Before you start your worship, is this what you're waiting for? You're waiting for death? It's too late. We know when death comes, it's too late, because death cuts off the deeds. Your deeds are cut off. So you shouldn't be waiting for this. أو الدجال. Is it the Dajjal that you are waiting for? أو الساعة فالساعة أدهى وأمر. Is it the hour that you are waiting for? Qiyamah. And the hour will be most grievous and bitter. So the hadith is, as we can see, giving us a wake-up call. بادروا بالأعمال. Be hasty with your righteous deeds. Take your opportunities, because these things can come about any time. Old age sneaks up on you. Sickness, your wealth, whether it's good or bad, faqr or ghina, poverty or Allah spending upon you. Or it could be death, or it could be qiyamah, or it could be the Dajjal. Either way, something's going to happen, and you are not going to be at a place where you can worship Allah Azza wa Jal. So the hadith is telling us, worship Allah, hasten to your good deeds before anything like this comes up. Take your opportunities. Hadith is in At-Tirmidhi, and At-Tirmidhi said the hadith is Hasten. Wallahu a'lam. Many of the scholars, they said this hadith is actually da'if, like Shaykh Al-Albani and Shaykh Al-Arnaut. However, the meaning of the hadith is correct. There's nothing wrong with us benefiting from it, because it doesn't teach us anything that is contrary to the rest of the teachings of the Sharia. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal for istiqamah, for make us of those who are the sabiqun al-awwalin in terms of our righteous deeds. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.